is horrified by what's happened. He is meeting with the families right now. His chief concern is to get the families the information they need as quickly as possible. That's why he's not here. I'm going to introduce Lieutenant Paul Vance from the State Police, who will talk a little bit about what's known so far. We understand that you are all interested in information. We'd like to get you that information as quickly as possible, but the governor's chief concern is making sure that the families have information as quickly as possible, and that's where he is now. This is Lieutenant Paul Vance from the State Police.
Hi, good afternoon. I will give you some very basic and brief information as we know it now, and we will set up regular press briefings as appropriate. Just after 9:30 this morning, Newtown Police received a 911 call for an emergency at the elementary school. Newtown PD, upon obtaining information as to the stature of the situation, contacted the Connecticut State Police and requested assistance from state police and surrounding local police departments. On and off-duty troopers responded to the school, and with Newtown Police, immediately upon arrival, entered the school and began a complete active shooter search of the building. That included checking every door, every crack, every crevice, every portion of that school. Our main objective was to evacuate as quickly and efficiently as possible any and all students and faculty in the school. The entire school was searched. That was accomplished. A staging area was set up. The students and staff were put into that staging area, and soon thereafter, the children and staff were reunited with their parents and their loved ones. There were several fatalities at the scene, both students and staff. There is no information relative to that that is being released at this time until we've made complete and proper notification. The shooter is deceased inside the building. There's a great deal of work that is undertaken immediately upon locating the shooter, and that is there's a great deal of search warrant activity, there's a great deal of law enforcement activity both in and out of state to ensure that we cover all the bases relative to that specific individual. Suffice it to say, the scene is secure. State Police Major Crime Squad, Newtown Police Department, Danbury State's Attorney, and many agencies are working together to answer all the questions surrounding exactly what happened. As Mr. Ociogrosso said, we will keep you briefed, we will keep you informed on a regular basis. We will put everything out via our website and with these press conferences. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Ociogrosso right now.
The governor took a call from President Obama a little while ago, who was calling to express his condolences and condolences on behalf of the nation, and pledged whatever resources the federal government can bring to bear to assist the families and to assist in the investigation. We will get you information as soon as we can get the families the information. That's where the governor is. At some point later today, the governor will be here, and we will set up regular briefings. Thank you.
Again, no questions at this time. I apologize. We will not be able to answer any questions. As I said, the scene is secure. The situation is secure. We will notify you shortly when we will come back for another briefing as quickly as we can.
But you can say to the public it's not in danger.
The public is not in danger. That's correct.
Hey, Lieutenant, everything's here, right? All the briefings here?
Right here.
Yeah, I'm not in the town to see them.
Brief news conference from Lieutenant Paul Vance, the Connecticut State Police, along with a spokesman for Governor Malloy, describing the timeline of events. He would only say there were several fatalities at the scene, both student and staff. We have separately from other officials learned that the number is at least 26 killed, 18 children, and 8 adults. As it was described, the 911 call came in a little after 9:30 of an emergency at the school. Both local and state police responded. They entered, according to the lieutenant, immediately and began to secure the scene, to evacuate students and staff to a staging area. He noted that the shooter, as we've been reporting, is deceased. He did not say by what manner, whether the 20-year-old shooter took his own life or was killed by police. They are holding some information out of respect to next of kin and notifications, but clearly they're also still getting a handle on exactly what has transpired at this school, Sandy Hook Elementary in Fairfield County, Connecticut, this morning. The governor is meeting with families right now trying to extend as much information as he can to them. Let's bring back Pete Williams, our justice correspondent, who's following developments for us from Washington. Pete, what do you have?
Well, Lester, it's not surprising that the official news conference did not reveal what they believe to be the number of victims here. That would be pretty standard that they don't do that until they believe they've notified all the next of kin. But I can tell you that this number that we've been reporting is widely being reported to us within official circles here in Washington and in Connecticut. So it appears to be the best estimate that they have so far, although we always have to emphasize in these situations that it's subject to change. Could be slightly higher if it turns out that the 8 adults does not include the gunman. And as we mentioned earlier, there's a second person in custody that, as far as we know, we just done some more checking here in the last few minutes. They're still trying to figure out whether this person had any connection to the shooting, had any knowledge of it, went with the gunman to the school, or just happened to be there by coincidence, and we don't know the answer to that yet, although we should have it fairly soon. I mean, it shouldn't take too long to figure this out. As for the search warrants being served that the Connecticut police talked about, this again is pretty standard operation. You have something like this, you immediately go and get search warrants to allow the police to look at the house, the car, any other possessions that this young man would have had to try to get answers about why he did this, whether he planned anything else, whether anyone else was working with him. Because you want to know for the investigation, and you also want to know if there's somebody else out there that has some involvement that is a potential danger. No reason to think there is, but that's a question that they very much want to try to answer right now. This young man is a mystery to us at this point. 20 years old, apparently lived in Connecticut. Still unclear to us whether he had some connection with that school. We've heard varying things about yes, he did, no, he didn't. I think there's just no good answer to that yet.
We're starting to get some accounts of what transpired in the school from those who were there and other family members. And to that point, the brother of one of the students, someone who was inside the school, spoke to reporters a little while ago. Let's hear what he had to say.
I mean, again, she was very frightened when she came out. She was crying. All the other students were crying. And the thing she told me was that it really started when she heard gunshots and she heard screams on the intercom. The intercom came on and there were screams. And, the school went on lockdown. And based on what she said, she was in art class and they were hiding in the closet, in a tiny closet, all bundled up. And they were hearing screams and it was horrible.
And we heard from another young girl who was in the school at the time in the gymnasium. She described the loud noises, which we assume were shots, and children crying and crowded around as their teachers trying to protect them from what was ever happening. At times like this, it tends to focus us on what's important, and Washington is certainly not immune to what we're all feeling. Chuck Todd, our chief White House correspondent, joins us now, and I know this came up during the